Hello, my name is Brenda Shavito, and this is You Are Not Alone, the show for news, tips, and above all, stories of hope for those struggling with substance use disorder. Now, I'm no expert in the field of substance use disorder, but from my personal experience with our son's battle that claimed his life, that I came to realize that when it comes to treatment, one size does not fit all. In many cases, including Nick's, mental health disorders also play a role in those who become addicted. Mental health disorders makes treating addiction that much more difficult.
Right.
Professionals refer to this as dual diagnosis. There are many approaches to treatment, both inpatient and outpatient. There are 12-step meetings, yoga, acupuncture, mindfulness, MAT, or medically assisted treatment, IOP, intensive outpatient treatment, and probably many others that I'm not familiar with. I'm not here to advocate for one over the other, but rather to bring awareness to what is available to those struggling with this horrible disease. The road to recovery in some cases can be long and arduous one, but recovery is possible. I've been told from those in the recovery communities that Angels Against Addiction supports that recovery from addiction has recently become much harder. This is partly due to the intensity of the addiction caused by fentanyl, which is being found in most street drugs, including heroin, methamphetamines, cocaine, pressed pills, and even marijuana. Today's guest is confident that a new implant using Naltrexone, along with other modalities of treatment, offers new hope to those in recovery. Mimi Dorschu has devoted many years in different capacities of the recovery community. She currently serves as the executive director at Legacy Surgical Center, located in Westchester. She is here today to give us information about this technique recently introduced on the East Coast and at Legacy. Mimi, it's so good to have you here with us. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us.
Well, you know what, I want to start out by saying hello to everybody, but I also want to thank you for this opportunity. This is a state-of-the-art procedure. No one else on the East Coast is doing this right now with our particular patented implant, and we're just honored to be able to share with the general public
great.
And this community what
Fabulous.
we're doing.
Well, let's start out a little bit about you, a few minutes about your background and what you've done in the recovery community thus far.
Well, I came to the recovering community and the field of recovery a little bit later in life. I don't have recovery in my background personally. Mm-hmm. Many family members have had this issue. Mm-hmm. So I'm very familiar with it. But once I came in, I jumped down into the deep end, right? Way into the deep end. I was absolutely stunned. The compassion and passion and energy and drive I have for this community. Mm-hmm. And it's an honor to serve them.
That's great. That's great. So you've done, prior to Legacy,
right?
Where have you served?
Well, I was at Recovery Centers of America, mm-hmm. and I served as the director of spiritual services there. Mm-hmm. So I had the privilege of being with patients one-on-one, right. Day in and day out, mm-hmm. running groups, which is one of my favorite things to do,
right.
And just really getting to know the patient population.
And you still serve there?
I do.
Once a week?
I
Great.
do. I had to leave the position, and I actually am back volunteering now.
Great. Oh, that's great. So you're still involved on the spiritual level there.
Absolutely.
Which is great. Well, tell us now about what's going on at Legacy. I was there, I visited. It's mm-hmm. an exciting model that you have there. So to start out with some of the programs, I think some of them I have even mentioned in the intro that maybe right. you offer, besides the Naltrexone, because we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So what do you offer there?
Well, what everyone, and you said this so well in your intro, people need to understand that it's not just one size fits all.
Right.
It's also, you might need to try on 10 pairs of shoes before you find the one that fits perfectly.
Sure.
So there's that aspect, because we can all start out with an inpatient experience, which really detoxifies the body.
Right.
And then once that has happened, most people are able to participate in groups and things of that nature.
Sure.
And then, as you mentioned, they can go to partial hospitalization, IOP, then general. And then, of course, I really find this to be true. Support in their personal community,
Right.
whether it's biological family members, whatever the case may be, whether it's AA,
Recovery
NA,
house, right.
any type of
Right.
recovery houses are a godsend.
Right.
Whatever those programs may be, support. Support is such a key indicator
The biggest key.
as to whether a person is going to make it in life.
Right, right. So in many cases, they have to say bye-bye to their old friends and their
Right.
old community.
Sure.
And I said this on many occasions, adapt to a new community with the same values and morals and mission.
Right.
Let's say it's a mission in life to
Right.
live a sober life.
And Brenda, the most
hard.
surprising thing to me about anyone, the general population, how recovery goes, the journey, and it's still the most surprising thing, years and years after seeing this for the first time, is how quickly a life can change for the better.
Sure, sure.
It doesn't take 5 years.
No.
You do one right thing, and then you do the next right thing, and then 3 days have gone by, and you're feeling a little bit more confident, healthy confidence,
Sure.
and so on and so on. And before you know it, a year has gone by,
Right.
and what you thought, I promise this is true, what you thought might take 5 years to happen can happen in 5 months. Don't you see
Absolutely.
that?
Oh, for sure.
Right.
If given the right tools
Yes.
and the right type of support, to your point, not just doing 30 days inpatient and
Right.
coming out and going back to your old stomping ground, or going back maybe even to your old job. But even if you went back to your old job, if you had a more, not more, but a healthier support system in
Right.
place, like you said, meetings, NAAA, 12 steps.
You asked what we do at our place. One of the groups that we do that's fairly unique is called reconciliation. And that's where it's by, request only, but it's where I meet with family members that have become estranged from their loved one.
Sure, which is common.
And sometimes it can be scary to take those first steps. And sometimes mediation and just an objective voice in the room is very helpful. Another thing we do is, I'm just going to say it, the most amazing recovery study. My son runs it. And a little bit about our background. My husband's in the field. We had a son who had a 12-year-long addiction, almost lost him several times. And now we're all in the field together. So it's a real honor.
It's a family disease.
Yes.
And it's been for you a family of healing, which
It
is wonderful.
It's a beautiful
amazing.
way to put it.
That's
So
great.
my son, Nick, like your son's name, he runs that group for us on Monday evenings. It's life-changing. It's amazing. The general public is invited because you may not be struggling with an addiction, but you probably know someone who is. And we're there as a resource. We also are helping mothers who are in danger of maybe losing their children to the system. One of the groups I'm very excited to establish is a support group for people in the field, because everyone in this field is working two people's jobs.
Right.
So a support group for people in the field who are also in personal recovery.
Right. Most people are, correct?
It's a yes, I would say probably 85% or more
are in recovery.
Yes, and they're giving back, and they give her their hearts day in and day out.
Absolutely.
And so far above and beyond.
And that's a great support group.
Yes.
To support those who are supporting others with the whole passion of their heart, because that's what they want to do. But like so many other jobs, in our day and times now, it is very stressful, and they could be doing the work of 2 and 3 people, and their caseloads could be overwhelming. And it's good to know that there's a group, a place they could come to find that balance.
Great.
And refocus.
Very well said.
Talk about what they're feeling and the stresses they have.
It's part of their work-life balance.
Sure.
And then, like, my husband worked in the field much longer and before I did. And I had no idea until I stepped through those doors. The level of intensity, and you simply can't, you have to give from your heart, not just from your head.
Right.
That's what it seems to me to be like. That's how everyone I know functions in this field. And it's an honor to know them.
Yeah. And those who are truly walking in the shoes of sobriety.
Right.
That's what they do.
There's a gift there that no one else can give.
Absolutely. I agree. Perfect. Well, let's move on to the main focus, which is really exciting, is the Naltrexone implant. What is a Naltrexone implant? What is it? I
think we have a graphic that we're going to put up in a second here. The Naltrexone implant, naltrexone in itself is a very old medicine.
Okay.
So it was developed many decades ago. And the good thing about that is there's so much research behind it.
Okay.
And so many people have used this. It's called a pure medicine because the side effects are so rare.
What was it originally developed for? Do you know?
Yes. It was developed for surgeons if they, like, there's an anesthesiologist in the surgery room. I'm not a doctor, but I know from TV that there's an anesthesiologist. And if someone is over-medicated, naltrexone was developed to help alleviate.
Over-medicated?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
It was some sort of, it will depress the lungs and the heart, the anesthesia, and you have to have the perfect balance.
Sure.
Thank God they went to medical school to learn all these things, but that's why it was originally developed.
Okay, cool. Very good.
And then in the 80s, it was, FDA approved for opioid use. And then in the 90s, it was approved for alcohol abuse. And Brenda, it's the only MAT, medication-assisted treatment. It is the only product that is not opioid-based.
That's amazing.
It's not opioid-based.
So what's the advantage to that?
Well, you're not keeping opioids in the body.
Okay.
And let me say first and foremost, I am not against anything that will help someone.
No.
I don't
Whatever
care
works.
if you just go and kneel in a church or a synagogue or a mosque somewhere and you believe that helps you, go. And there's so many more options these days. And we can differentiate those options in a moment here, but there's no cliff effect.
Okay.
So you come off opioids and your body's going to go through withdrawal.
Okay.
This is a 6-month implant, and at the end of 6 months, your body's fine.
Okay.
And it just dissipates at the measured rate daily. So it's not like anything needs to be removed in time. It's an implant that dissolves completely.
How is that administered? Like, is it go into the brain? Is it a little, what is it? I mean, I think I've seen it's a little capsule almost.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's about the size of a Tic Tac.
Okay.
All right. And so a person would come into our center.
Okay.
Like start to finish. Number one, I talk to them too much because I'm so excited to share this with everybody. So that's what happens when you first come into my center. We'll be friends before you leave. And then, the nurse, does their intake. They have to have their blood pressure monitored for a few minutes.
Right.
Like 10 minutes.
Sure.
And then their heart rate is what gets measured for 10 minutes. Blood pressure is taken twice. They do a urinalysis test because we don't want, people need to be detoxed from opioids
clean
in order to do this.
Okay.
And safely, because we err on the side of caution.
Sure.
And then they're taken into the surgical suite and they get a gown put on them with a little hole. You've seen these pictures. That's sort of, it goes right here. If everybody can see me, it's in what's unaffectionately called the love handles.
Okay.
So it's
not invasive. It's not painful.
No. It's a little shot of lidocaine, which is similar to Novocaine. It's just a little nerve blocker for the area.
Okay.
When I actually had the implant done, because I've studied it for so long, I knew I would have no negative side effects.
Okay.
And I wanted to be able to honestly speak firsthand experience to the situation. And I got the little pop of lidocaine, and I just am making jokes and stuff, you know. And I said to the doctor, let me know before, you know, you start so I can just kind of brace myself. He said, Mimi, we're almost done. Okay. So our surgeon, who is Dr. Sean Ryan, many people may recognize his name. Okay. He's a very well-known surgeon in the area. Okay. He finishes the procedure from start to finish in 7 minutes. Wow. And he's such a wonderful man. He has conversations with our patients and just tells them what's happening. And
as it's happening.
If they want somebody.
People are nervous. They might be nervous. Yeah. And a little trepidation and not understand.
I've sat with many patients and just held their hand and walked them through it. And then at the end of that procedure, they have to have their blood pressure taken again, their heart rate monitored for about 5 to 10 minutes. This is a very low risk procedure. Then they have to come talk to me again because I want to know how they're doing.
So it's an in and out.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody goes back to work.
They're not. It's not a day thing, or they're down and out, or they feel they have to adjust to it. Are there any side effects that they might encounter? No, nothing. Wow.
You could be in and out of our center in 25 minutes.
Wow. So lunchtime, you go have the procedure.
And many people do.
Get in and out. So so you said that there's no opioid in it, no side effects, as opposed to some of the other opioid blockers.
Right. Well, the way that Naltrexone works is you have receptors in your brain. Okay. And I've had it explained to me, because I've never seen a person's brain. I've had it explained to me that like receptors open up like the petals of a flower. Okay. And then substances come into our body. For instance, as I told you, I was behind an accident on the way in here. Right. It was a school bus. Guess what happened when I saw that? I had an adrenaline rush. Sure. So adrenaline is very much like, you know, it's going to go hit the brain, right? And it's going to cause your body to feel a little shaky and things like that. That's a neurotransmitter. Okay. There are neurotransmitters that the opioid hits, which is what produces the euphoric effects. Right. Drugs and alcohol. Okay. So if the stuff goes in there, we'll call it the stuff. If the drug goes in there, you're going to feel it's fascinating the way the brain works. But so what Naltrexone does is it goes in and covers it. Oh, I can hardly say this without getting emotional because it's that simple. Right. So if you did try and drink or use or get high, number one, I always like to warn people, and this is very, very important. You still have a heart, you still have a respiratory system. If you're going to keep pushing drugs or alcohol in your body, your heart and your lungs are going to respond in a very, very negative way. Absolutely. But every patient has told me, and this is what all the data says as well, within 2 hours of having the implants, they have no cravings. Wow. It's pretty am I allowed to say a little bit miraculous?
Right, sure, it sounds miraculous.
It's really stunning. And there's one of our patients, she was this sweet girl, and her name is Sophie, and she said, Mimi, when I heard that there was a alternative to the opioids staying in my system, I just jumped at it. And the challenge with the other products is they work. I mean, I'm not against it. Like I said, I'm not against anything. Right. But they do strip the body eventually of what's known as dopamine receptors. Okay. So a lot of people struggle with depression, that type of thing after long times on that. Right. And this is an alternative that just allows you to not have that substance in your body. Sure. I've seen a Suboxone withdrawal. Yeah. I don't ever want to see that again in my life.
It's rough. So is this is this a one and done? How does this work? I think you'd said 6 months. Right. Usually it'll stay in the system.
I would never want anyone to think this is a one and done. No. Because everyone here's the thing I used to say to people. I'm not here to just talk to your body. Your body might be addicted. I'm not here to just talk to your body. Guess what? Right. You might be brilliant. You might be like a computer genius. I'm not. But guess what?
Neither am I.
I'm not here to talk to your mind. Right. I am here to talk to your entire being.
Right.
So like you mentioned, people need mental health help.
Yep.
They need love and
Spiritual
support.
help.
They need support, absolutely spiritual help. So there's a whole person.
Right.
This answers one question.
Right.
That's why I have support groups. Another support group I didn't have an opportunity to mention was we do concierge service for people that have absolute privacy needs. And, you know, they can come in privately. It's just myself, a nurse, a doctor. They come in privately, they leave properly. I wanted to mention that because a lot of people, because of their professional
or their
needs,
whatever their feelings are about privacy,
correct.
Regardless, they want to be, you know, under the radar,
right?
And that's privacy. It's just like any other HIPAA, and they have that right. Absolutely.
But we have the ability to really.
Oh, that's nice. That's great.
Provide that for people.
Oh, that's great. Wonderful. So once they've had this implant,
right?
So then where does the person go? Okay, I've had the implant, you know, day goes by. Like what's, you want to call it, not even call it aftercare, but what is incorporated into the model of treatment from there?
Right. Our model of treatment, the ideal, and trust me, I don't turn anyone away. But ideally, what you want to do is go to an inpatient rehab. And I'm sure there are so many. If you call me at 445-210-7209, I will overwhelm you with referrals.
Okay, so let me ask you something. So then somebody, first of all, we understand that somebody has to be clean of opioids.
Right. So that's where I was starting.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So that's all right.
So if people...
I want them to go to inpatient.
First.
Get detox.
Okay.
You're done detox. Right. They're running blood work there.
Okay.
If they work like RCA does. They're doing blood work to see what levels of what are in your body.
Right.
So we know with any opioid, except methadone, we want you clear of that for 5 to 7 days since your last use. Methadone has a half-life that's much longer. So we want you clean of that for 14 days. Okay. So then that's the point where we want to put the implant in. Mm-hmm. Then we just chat with you for a while and send you back.
To inpatient?
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Think about it. How many people stay for detox only and leave?
3 to 5 days.
It's just like having a plumber come fix your pipes for
and they leave.
And they need so much more. But if they have the implant in, Brenda, think about it. They're going to groups. They're going to stay for their length of stay. What everybody says is the most important time. They're not going to leave AMA because they're settled. They have no cravings. Can I tell you an amazing story? I think you met this young man the day you were in my office. Mm-hmm. He had the implant March 21. And as everybody knows who lives in this area, we had a very icy and cold Easter this year. We did. It was more like winter.
Right.
And he said to me, you know, Mimi, the implant saved my life yesterday. And I said, how? He said, I got my winter coat that I hadn't worn since before I was in treatment. Mm-hmm. Shoved my hands in the pockets, and it was full of bags of yucky stuff. I don't like to trigger anybody. It was filled with bags of heroin. Wow. He said, Mimi, if I didn't have this in my body, he said I probably would have overdosed and died.
Wow. How about that? That's wonderful.
So that's really exciting.
So they'll come, they'll like, let's say somebody detoxes and they're an inpatient.
Right.
And then they'll come to you and have the implant. Right. Continue on in their inpatient.
Right.
Now when they leave, let's say they want to go to a recovery community.
Sure.
Is that in line with, would they have to go to a house that accepts MAT? Or because there's no trace of opioids in the implant, is that picked up on a urine test prior to entering the recovery house?
It's very rare, but it's possible for about 2 to 3 days. And we give people, we give people instructions, and they have a call-in number for us to verify that to the sober house living people. And that's, you know, obviously for people that are younger, those are very positive environments for them to go out. And we opened our arms to the Sober Living House community. And if you have a Sober Living House, give us a call. We just want to help.
Right.
You know, you saw my facility. It's a beautiful facility, plenty of room. My offices, as far as the community rooms, they're open.
Right.
If you are doing something that helps the recovering community, call me. It's open. You can, I'm not, you know, charging a fee for that or anything.
No, I want space.
I want to bring the community together with anyone who wants to help.
That's great. So when people do this, they're back in the recovery house and in their inpatient for let's say 28 days, for example, which is a typical stay. And then they leave, they go to recovery house. Are they still coming to you for more help? Or let's say they're not in a recovery house. Let's say they go back home or wherever they were living prior to. You would encourage them to come.
Well, patients.
Again, your facility offers groups and you offer other support services.
Right.
Just not Naltrexone.
Oh, no.
Right.
No, you can,
so they can come back, I'm saying.
Absolutely.
For more support.
Absolutely. To me, offering the implant only, and this is just my opinion, I'm not speaking for everyone across the globe who does this. I would feel like that's treating 1/3 of the person.
Right.
When people are, you know, we have, as I said, we have a mind, we have a spirit, we have a body.
Sure.
And that would make me feel like I was doing something unethical. Because we want, you know what, Brenda, I want to form a community of people like you.
Right.
And I'll join other people's communities because this is stealing a generation from us.
Oh, it's awful.
My husband and I co-pastored a church together for 21 years. We're both ordained. I've done their funerals. I never want to do that again. Never.
It's tragic what's happening. So you're doing wonderful things. And this originated, we had said the East Coast. This actually came from West Coast, correct?
Right. In this country, yes.
Right. Okay. Yes. So it's been
very
going
active.
on. It's very active, like out in California, the West Coast. So this is all something very new, like you said earlier, very cutting edge.
Yes.
For the East Coast.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful that you're doing this and you're getting the word out and seeing results. Well, it's been wonderful to have you. And if people want to get a hold of you or get more information about Legacy, do you have the contact information?
I do. It's Legacy Surgical Center. We're located at the intersection of Boot Road and Paoli Pike in Westchester. My personal cell that I carry around with me all the time is 445-210-7209. Our address is 1450 East Boot Road, Westchester, PA. And our website is legacysurgicalcenter.com. And if you go on there, you can find me. And you'll be able to find this.
You can find Mimi.
Yes.
You can find Mimi everywhere. Facebook, RCA, online. That's how I found you. I found you on Facebook. And I was drawn to your implants and what you were doing immediately. And I needed to know more. So thank you so much. And it's been wonderful having you with us, Mimi.
It's been great to be here. Thank you very much.
So thank you for joining us for this important discussion about Naltrexone implants. I hope you've gained more insight about this exciting modality being used as an additional tool to treat those in recovery. I know I have. I'm Brenda Shavito, and remember, you are not alone.
That's right.
If you or a loved one needs help or would like to donate, please visit us anytime at angelsagainstaddiction.org. I believe that together we can help save lives. Thank you.